Good morning. It's another brighter day in the neighborhood. I'm Angela Jones, and I'm here today with Kara Wilde, or Kara Wilde.
Yes, also correct.
As
Yes.
we were discussing. We were just talking about, because the way you spell your name, it's Kara and then Wilde.
Correct.
Is like subject to multiple.
All types of permutations and different translations. They're very interesting. So, yes,
So,
it's always
yeah.
comical.
I think Carol is my
Carol, I get that a
funniest.
lot. Yeah, Carol Wilde. It rolls off the tongue, really. You can't really, like
Carol Wilde.
Carol Wilde. Yeah, it's just sort of, it's natural, so I can't hold it against anyone.
Karen, I think.
That's
Wilde.
where I draw the line, Sorry, too, if your name is Karen, but that's
You're not.
That's
You
not
will
me.
correct people then.
I will.
So.
But much like a Karen would, which is why I try to steer away from that. I don't know. It could be very confusing.
It could be. So I was telling you, like, also oftentimes, it's weirdly often that people will ask me when I tell them my name is Angela Jones, how to spell it. I'm often perplexed as to.
You could just spell perplex from now on instead of your actual name.
I think I might.
Yeah, you could just be like capital P. ER, just start out with that. I think that might be good.
Yeah, because, really, how else would you spell Jones?
I mean, like we had just said before, G-U-N-N, silent R-Z. It could be a thing. We could make it a thing. It could be German, we could make it like a different.
Maybe I should look up the German spelling of Jones.
I don't know if they'd have that, but if we have it, that's how you could use it.
I think
from now
incorporating the umlaut in there is really
make it global,
Yes, tilde,
yes.
umlaut.
Yeah, I think that would make a really big impact worldwide.
I'm
which
definitely
is really the goal here.
The silent R is definitely.
That's where it really. I think that's where the substance comes.
It
Is that
really
silent
does.
R? It carries a lot of weight.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely.
So you are Brighter Days operations manager.
Yes.
And this is how you and I talk, like,
Correct.
throughout the day.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
So-
Normally on Teams though, which is always funny. So yeah.
Oh, it cracks me up, though. I mean, I'm laughing
Yeah,
all the time
all the time.
about the whole thing. But, we've had a lot of practice doing these types of conversations.
Sure.
I think, 40,
All my life.
43 years.
43 years. Yeah.
So you are my younger sister.
Yeah. Surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Because we look nothing alike.
Or act nothing
or so
alike, which is-
everyone
yeah.
says
That's the
all the
biggest
time.
one. It's like, just watch our mannerisms and you're gonna get it. So most people are like, oh yeah, that makes more sense now. So,
Not
yeah.
the people who can't spell my name
Right.
or pronounce
Well,
yours.
they are usually related, the people who can't spell our names. So, that's a whole other story.
There is that.
Yeah.
There is that.
Mhm.
So you've recently agreed to come on board with Brighter Day. I think you've been with us about 6 months now.
About 6 months, yeah. Started April 1st was my official day. Unofficially mid-March as I was transitioning out of my old career and kind of was in that middle point and did not expect to be where I am right now with Brighter Day at all. But I'm happy to be here.
Well, in let's talk about that transition, because you were managing a design company, and you
Yes.
had managed a design company prior to that,
Sure.
and then run your own small business. And as you were leaving that, we had just a staffing need, and you said, "Hey, I can come, I can help
I can
out.
be some extra hands.
I could be some extra hands. How about in the office?"
Yeah.
And that sort of has I don't know that morphed is the right word, but you've definitely kind of
Evolved, maybe.
evolved into.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely got the same treatment as anybody else coming on board. Like, you have to talk to our hiring manager. And I was like, okay. And I did. And, was brought on board very temporary at the beginning, just to be those extra hands and help out with admin stuff. And over the last several months, it's kind of morphed into other things. And now I am doing operational things and training for even higher levels, than that. And so, yeah, I think that it's great. One thing that's awesome about Brighter Day is that you do really invest in people's development, and it encourages, I think, the people who work with us to also, invest in their own development outside of work. And I think it really fosters a kind of a cool environment.
Well, and I think it's interesting, like that growth is one of our core values. But I think in terms of growth, there's a place like we look at growth from a variety of different aspects. One, we're a growing firm, we're
Sure.
an expanding firm,
And
but
quickly
expanding,
yeah.
yes. And so there's a lot of opportunity there, just, laterally, like we need more legal assistants, more paralegals, more attorneys, and what have you. And, or even on the admin side, there's that. But it's also to develop your skill sets, and, to assist other people in, developing their mindset and, their view on what is possible, what is
Yeah.
achievable. And that's the thing that, the big reason why, I founded the firm was to assist clients who needed that developmental support, because oftentimes, you're faced with a divorce or a custody situation and you get really in that fight flight mode,
Sure.
and you're in the survival mode, and we're not always able to act as our highest best selves without proper support in those times. And so what we do is we try to come underneath and like shore up, like make sure all those basic needs are met to allow people to step out of fear-based decision making and start to think about like, what do I really want here?
Sure.
What do I really value here? And, for my family, where do I want to be, at the end of this process or years down the road? And then, assist in making decisions that are in accord with that, thinking decisions and values-based decisions. And we encourage everyone who works with the firm to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody working with the firm where it isn't aligned with their ultimate, goals for themselves
Definitely. I mean,
or their
mindset's
lives.
huge. That's everything. I mean, it's you function how you believe, and I think that's another, core takeaway just for being a part of this team of people is, we do shore up when someone is maybe lacking that confidence and mindset. There's always a support group for someone to come along and encourage, remind of what's already known, but also encourage to like remember what you know and to step back into that mindset of you can do this. It is possible, having that stick to itiveness and like pushing through those hard times. And then that just translates out into how we do serve our clients and are that support network for them in their times of transition and struggle and maybe being afraid and not sure of what's coming next. And, I think that it's very important that we cultivate that kind of same sentiment within our own environment, within the office staff, that it just parallels and mirrors out to how we actually serve our clients, and which I think is really special. I think a lot of people who work with us have been through those kinds of experiences in their personal lives, and so we have the empathy, we have the understanding of what kind of goes on in those more intimate moments during those kinds of situations. And so I think it's really something special that we're able to bring to the table of that personal experience dealing with these kinds of different things, and then also having that empathy to help our clients work through those situations from a place of knowing what it's like to be there ourselves.
Most of the people who work at the firm, to some extent or another, have had the very problems that we assist clients in
Exactly.
dealing with touch their lives. If be it involved in a custody situation as a child
Right.
or as an adult or a divorce or what have you.
Even adoption. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so
adoption,
many
exactly.
different awesome things and personalities that we get to work with every single day in and out of the office, that we really get to kind of bring that, again, that experience and that expertise to the table with that mindset of everything's going to be okay and everything's going to work out and there is something to look forward to.
So you had a divorce experience where you didn't have a firm like Brighter Day
Right.
involved, and so how might
Well, I had you.
Well, you did have
So-
me. You did have me, but
Yes.
and I assisted in that in some way, but it definitely wasn't, I wasn't your attorney.
Definitely not.
In that matter.
Right.
So how might have, working with a firm like Brighter Day helped you in that time?
Man, I wish I would have had the understanding of the impact that divorce without support makes. It took me years and years, probably 6 years, to really work through that hurt, work through that disappointment, work through that trauma, because I didn't have a support network really, from a legal aspect anyways, to kind of walk me through those kinds of things. And so it was a very traumatic experience. I definitely recommend, if you are in that kind of situation, that you definitely get a legal team behind you to just
Yeah.
garner that support, give you that backup, help you understand, like, hey, this is a normal part of the process. People do these kinds of things. Don't be afraid. Don't fall to these kinds of threats or whatever is happening in the situation. And just having that understanding that you do have someone who knows a lot more about law than you do and deals with this kind of stuff all the time. And it's not a big surprise that these kinds of situations come
Right.
up, and they're not in it on the level that you are alone in it. And so you have that like larger perspective from someone else who has a lot more experience in dealing with these kinds of things than you do. And so I think having a team, much like any other kind of experience, when you have that support system, you have a network behind you, I think it helps to foster a quicker recovery and less trauma, possibly, and having just a better understanding of like the process of how things roll out, what happens, and not feeling so lost or afraid of not really knowing like how to pick up the pieces, what's going to happen, how to start over, or not having enough information to make good choices for yourself, so that you do kind of end up with the short end of the stick and then really being at a detriment instead of having some of that like better information help you make better choices to start again.
Again, that's like we're making fear-based choices
Correct.
Instead of
Versus informed choices. Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that was, when all that went down, I wasn't even practicing law.
Right.
That was when I was at home.
Right.
And, definitely not licensed in the state where you were going through your divorce.
Right.
And so, help, seeing
And
what,
I also didn't want to listen. That was another, thing. I think that I was so afraid, and I didn't have, in my situation, I didn't have that like large legal team backing me, and like, you're my sister, and of course I knew what you were talking about, but I was also so deep in my own situation, and so afraid in my own situation that it was very difficult for me to actually take advice. And so I think that's another thing, that kind of coming in and having like a consultation and like knowing what your options really are from a legal standpoint, and all of these things, it does probably help a lot more than trying to white knuckle it and being like, I believe what you want to, I kind of believe what you're telling me, but I'm so afraid to believe it because I don't know what to do with the information because I'm doing it on my own.
well, what I love is like, you having that background, us having that background together, and, getting this bigger picture view on what is necessary when people are going through life transitions, to include even, some things like that might come up like bankruptcy or later down the road, with probate or, personal injury, something,
Sure.
all of these types of things where you and I are working together to develop new partnerships, strategic partnerships, and service offerings that will allow more people to benefit from,
Definitely.
what the firm has to offer, in a variety of income levels.
Sure.
So I'm really excited about that particular aspect, especially this, like we're kind of talking about it as a fresh start, like, the fresh start that you get in bankruptcy, the fresh start that you have after divorce, the, fresh start that occurs when you get a positive resolution to any plaguing legal issue.
Right.
And having that support itself is a fresh start
Definitely.
from, when you're walking it out, white knuckling it on your own.
And I think the most beautiful thing about that really is that a fresh start really is available to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your income level. It doesn't matter your education level. It doesn't matter where you come from, but we get to choose by choosing the right mindset of what that starting over and starting fresh looks like.
Yeah, it's not what happens, but how we choose to, move through, navigate
How to
through
see it
what
and what
happens.
to do with it.
That's
Exactly.
right. All right. Well, thanks so much, Kara,
Yeah,
for
thanks for
taking the
having me.
time
For
this
sure.
morning. And thank you all for joining us for another brighter day in the neighborhood. I'm Angela Jones, and until next time, have a brighter day.